Okay.
But
Right. Wait, yeah, it's recording. Okay. All right, guys. I'm sitting down here with Danny from DB Media. How are you doing?
good, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Great, dude. I'm great. Um, so let's kind of dive into kind of your journey as a hockey like content creator and how did that start?
Yeah, so you were obviously a part of that.
Oh yeah.
Back then, what was it? It was March of 2023, so we just celebrated our 1 year a few weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we were kind of just screwing around with a double-sided stick, which is actually in this room still.
Uh-huh.
Um, but on the tinted visor, I don't think we didn't make the video with the intention of going viral, but it went viral. Our
Yeah.
first video got posted on NHL and ESPN.
Yeah.
Um, at the time, the video got like I think it's at 9,000 likes, and at the time that was like crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and kind of figured why not capitalize off of this momentum, so we just kept making more videos, and it
Mhm.
seemed to stay on that upward trend.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like we just kind of just went for it and just made some we were just having fun, just kind of keep
Yeah, we were just screwing around. It's not like
yeah,
we were like, hey, let's make a viral video. It was more
yeah,
so let's just post this funny video on TikTok
yeah,
just because we were screwing around.
yeah,
Um, and it ended up we ended up getting a little lucky, but it
yeah,
lightning a little and capitalized.
yeah. It's crazy how like people I feel like they don't realize like those videos are made at like what 5 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's been a
Yeah,
little out too because now we're getting ice during the day.
yeah,
Oh, but summer we had to show up at the rink at 5 in the morning, because the ice slot begins at 6 and people are getting there at 6. So we had
yeah, yeah, yeah,
in the beginning too, like that video. I think we filmed that like while there was like other people on the other end. Like
yeah,
now the videos that we do, we need like the ice ourselves because like we can't do the same stuff that that we were doing
right,
at the
right, right.
beginning.
People would
But
always like kind of give us weird looks too, but it was whatever.
yeah, it was funny. Like I said,
Yeah,
people didn't know. People now know who we are. Like we'll go to Stick and Pucks now, and people are like, "Oh, you're the guy on TikTok." Or like we had one guy, we were just doing drills, and he comes up like starts doing drills with us. He has to do drills. He's like, "You know that one guy that makes like TikToks here?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's us."
no way.
It's funny, because like yeah, at the beginning, people were definitely giving us looks. I think it's a different perception now because people seem to recognize us here
Right.
at
Right. Once you like grow a brand like and like a following and an audience, like I feel like it just the perspective changes. So but coming like to that, like what do you have any like projects or kind of big things coming up that you'd like to like the people know about?
Oh, we got a video with Brecky Hill. That's probably the biggest one. Um, we've been back and forth. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, try to get.
You're close with her, eh?
Well, I would say close, but we've been working back and forth trying to get something posted here soon, figuring out something that will work for both of us. But she's got a lot on her plate as well, so that's been
Yeah.
definitely that's been an emotional roller coaster as well too. But yeah, that's a big one. We're at 49.9 thousand, so we got a 50K video coming up.
Yeah.
That's all recorded, ready to go. So that's I think will be another good one. And then this has been another one that's been in the making for a while, but we've been trying to get a dealership to get a car on the ice for us to make a video for them.
Wow.
We're really close to pulling the trigger with a McLaren dealership, but that fell through.
Hmm.
There's some unexpected fees arrived from the
Right.
rank. Right? So now we're being
Liabilities and stuff, right?
a lot of we actually had to get insurance. We couldn't record without insurance.
Mm.
Um, and because now we're technically it was filming like an ad and like we'd had to go out of the way, so there was an application fee of like $250 to the rink and or to the village actually. So the dealership was not happy about the extra fees that popped up, so
Yeah.
we had to scrap that.
Yeah, I could imagine that. That's awesome though. Are you reaching out to these places or like is
Yeah, we were talking to Ford. I have some contacts at Ford.
hmm,
Um, we're looking into getting a Ford Ford
right.
so
Yeah.
we'll see where that goes.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for you. That's awesome that you're growing, you're branding, you're getting all these, dealerships and maybe one day, you'll get like a Lamborghini, whatever sponsorship or
That
something.
that'd be cool. That'd be cool if we can get some bigger brands to start working with us. So we haven't gotten any like big money brands. I mean Howie's I think is still our biggest brand, but they don't pay me. It's mostly just like free stuff, and they also give me a lot of exposure into mainly on Instagram. They've been helping me grow on Instagram,
Yeah.
uh, been good. So, but
Would
yeah,
you would you say that your main source of growing your brand is through Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or
it,
Facebook?
it's still been TikTok. TikTok's
Really?
number one for growing, and like I don't really get too in depth into it, but TikTok's been changing their algorithm lately.
Really?
It's been very different to when we first started posting videos. Um, we've seen it. That's why I feel like we've also seen the channel stagnate a little bit. The algorithm isn't as favorable to the videos that we've been posting because algorithm now favors longer videos and pictures as opposed to like the original 15-second clips that we've been posting. So, yeah, but the name of the game on the internet. It's the internet changes so rapidly.
Right,
Gotta adapt. It's whoever's ahead of the curve and adapting to the new changes is who's gonna come out on top.
right, right. It seems as though like you got to know about the trend before it even is a trend, right?
Yeah.
You got, you know,
Well, I feel like the what is it called? Not like our philosophy. I feel like with the videos has been not to follow trends, but to create trends. Like we like they're very rarely. I can't think of any trends that we've like immediately hopped on. Whereas I feel like we've been kind of just going our own path.
yeah, yeah. That's a good way to look around it because that's how you're really gonna, grow and get those viral videos. But this I've heard TikTok is getting banned too. Is that still a thing, or I haven't really heard much? Do you know?
Yeah, well, I think TikTok will be safe for a while. Even
Hmm.
if it get banned, I believe Biden hasn't signed it into effect yet.
Yeah.
Once Biden signs it, TikTok will have 9 months. But then TikTok can also sue the United States government.
Mm.
So it's unconstitutional, and that trial can play out for years. Which would mean TikTok would essentially be safe for
Right.
people.
Okay.
So TikTok going anywhere else, but I also think that TikTok no longer has like the grip on in the social media space that it once had. I feel like other platforms have caught up.
Hmm.
Um, but I think yeah, TikTok is still the best platform to grow on for sure.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's it's interesting to see what if TikTok does disappear, what new app is gonna pop off, and
I,
how.
I think I think Instagram Reels is second right now. I mean,
Well,
uh,
Facebook's big too, right? Though, like,
Facebook's big, but I just feel like Facebook is a different demographic.
mhm.
Depends on what you want. I mean, Facebook is still popular, but the demographic you're reaching is definitely older.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that's true. Um, when you're posting your content, are you are you just posting videos and do you have a specific kind of genre you're targeting or demographic and do hashtags and the captions play a role into that?
I've heard keywords play a huge role into like niche. I don't use hashtags because I believe just hashtags are so watered down. They don't really serve the original purpose they were intended to.
Yeah.
Um, maybe captions I can maybe be a little better with, but like I feel like my genre is just hockey. I feel like it's done a good job of reaching that demographic.
Hmm.
That it, whether that takes a little longer for that video to reach the demographic, it usually reaches the intended audience.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Are you looking to in the future maybe go into a broader audience or demographic or no?
Yeah, I mean, you know this.
You're a football guy too, eh?
That's literally what I was gonna say. I was like, I'm really big into football. I do eventually want to move into football. Maybe I do. I wouldn't mind. Obviously, not in a
F1? F1?
well. Racing could be something in the future. But I was gonna say, not in the financial status right now for this, but I wouldn't be opposed to doing like travel stuff. Like I want to definitely like do like travel videos and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But need to get there first to be
Yeah.
able to do
Gain
that.
some
So
capital, eh? Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, football. I can definitely see myself maybe starting some of the football. That might be on the rise, and then I do want to start a racing team at some point, even if it's
Yeah.
for fun. Um, I feel like in terms of marketing, I want to follow that Red Bull philosophy where Red Bull is just all marketing, right? And then
Mhm.
obviously media being marketing and consulting stuff like that. I feel like that'd be a good company to emulate. Obviously, Red Bull's got an F1 team. They've got a
Max
uh,
Verstappen, you know.
yeah, MLS team. They've got a hockey team as well.
Really?
So like their philosophy is marketing, right? Their videos are like the crazy stunts. Those cost thousands of dollars. I would even say some millions, right? So the idea is kind of that, and it's always been that. I feel like from the start, where we're spending money on these like crazy videos, but it's with the upside of gaining exposure and then using that exposure to make money.
Right, right. And you bring up a good point where it's I feel like it's easy once you really start making, well, I don't know, but I'm guessing and just what I've seen from, different content creators, like once you start making bank, it's so easy just to start spending that money on your own personal, endeavors and what you want to do instead of re-putting it back into videos. Um, which like some of the top content creators, that's what they do, right? They reinvest everything back into an even better video, and they just
Yeah, well, that's how it's kind of been. Well, I haven't been making money to reinvest, so everything's still coming out of my personal paycheck.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But hopefully it's with it being like an investment, right? So
Right,
that's the way I see it. I don't see
right,
it as like a, for example, $50 purchase. I see it as a $50 investment that could multiply in the future.
right, right.
If there's one thing I've seen from my personal experience and just people around me, it's the best investment or bet that you can make is on yourself.
Right, right, right. You gotta bleed a little to make a lot, right?
Yeah.
So that's smart though. That's good advice here. Um, what's so let's kind of change up the subject just a bit. What are as you're you got Slovakian, you got Slovakian blood in you, you know, what what are your thoughts on sauna? What have you heard about it? Has your family gone? Are they fans of it? Um, explain like what have you heard?
Yeah. Well, we have a sauna here
Right.
at our Roosevelt rink. I don't use it very often.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think the benefits are undeniable. I know it's really good for you,
Hmm.
especially before a shower. So
You're right.
what a lot of the guys will do. Like the rest of my family doesn't use a sauna ever. I mean, we don't really have access to one,
Right.
especially I have access obviously, but
Right.
um,
Right.
yeah. Other than that, that's the extent of my knowledge slash comments on saunas.
Yeah. Yeah. Is is that a common thing that a lot of the boys at Roosevelt like do before
Yeah,
games, after games, or what's that look like?
yeah. Mostly, some guys will go before practice.
Mm.
Most of the guys will go after practice. They'll usually turn on the sauna. like before we get on the ice, or maybe right when we get off the ice. We'll go and then we'll shower after. Some guys will just go just to go and then hop in an ice bath. Some guys, we have a bike in there. Some guys will just go some cardio in the sauna, sweat a little. So
Mhm.
yeah,
That's good stuff. So they mainly use it, you'd say, for relaxation or kind of weight loss, or is it just what?
I feel like a combination of the both.
Mm,
I think it's more of a spectrum.
mm,
Um, and
yeah,
then it just depends on what you use it for, right? Where
right.
it's like maybe some days you just use it to relax, some days recover, some days maybe you're using it to sweat, work out. So I think it just depends.
Right, right. It's yeah, it's the thing about how here in the US we just don't have, a common like sauna where people can just go to just real quick, hop in the sauna, go in the cold plunge and then kind of get on with your day, We don't have that here. So
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, well, most people's access to saunas, when most people don't have them in their house.
exactly.
Full access is just the gym. So if you don't have a gym membership,
Yeah.
you really don't have access to it.
Right. And it's always packed in there. It's dirty, you don't know if they clean it up but yeah, that's a good point. It's just accessibility is kind of an issue, but yeah, there's just so many benefits to it. It detoxes your skin, cardiovascular, prevents cardiovascular illnesses, muscle recovery, and also like with the mental, kind of crisis that we have going on with, anxiety and stress, people are just kind of taking medications, antidepressant pills and whatnot. Like this is just a holistic approach to that you kind of can stay away from pills and whatnot and kind of get a mental physical therapy. But yeah, I feel like it's something that as like in Europe, people use a sauna all the time, right? So but here in the US it's not as common because do you think people just don't know about it, or is it just they don't know the benefits, or what just from what do you think?
I think accessibility is the number one thing. I think most
Yeah.
people know about sauna. Maybe yeah, maybe some people aren't aware of the like how good it is for you. But I think most people it's just not as accessible, so they don't really bother to look into it.
Right, right, right. That's true. No, that's a good point you bring up. Yeah. Um, yeah, so it's just I feel like there's a huge market for that. But what are I know you're a big F1 guy. Um what are your thoughts on all the Hamilton drama and you know him going to Ferrari, right?
Yeah, I think
That was quite a
well
long that was like not that was pretty long ago, but right? Because he
it was February.
yeah.
Yeah, I think if Adrian Newey ends up going to Ferrari, I think Hamilton made the right choice, and it seems like Mercedes has been on the downtrend. And just in the landscape of F1 in general, I think this season and next season might be some of the most exciting spectacles in all of sports we're gonna see.
Hmm.
Because Max Verstappen no longer has the best car. As we saw this weekend in Imola, it was
Yeah.
clearly the McLaren
Yeah.
that was faster, and we saw that
Lando Norris.
Lando Norris finished P2 0.7 seconds behind him. So I
Yeah.
think they get a very close title race to the end of the season because I think McLaren is just going to keep going up. But
Hmm.
obviously, Verstappen's the best driver, and he no longer has the best car, which is what we saw with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen in 2021, where Mercedes had the dominant car, but Max Verstappen was given a competitive car, and him being the machine that he is.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of Max Verstappen, I think it's crazy that he won two races this weekend. One in the 24 hours of the Nurburgring in iRacing, and then went on to win this weekend's race in Imola. So
Right.
yeah, F1. If we start F1, I could talk for hours about F1. There's so much
Yeah.
at any given point.
Yeah. It's crazy because I I didn't really know much about F1 until I started watching the Netflix series, and it really got me into it.
Oh yeah, Drive
It's
to Survive.
it's so fun to watch, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people got into F1 recently because of Drive to Survive, which I will say, Drive to Survive thrives off drama, so it's a
Right,
little exaggerated, some of it.
right,
Um,
right.
it's done a good job of bringing the sport into the United States, which some people argue a good or bad thing. I'm mixed because I like to keep things like traditional, right?
Mm,
And I think USA and its money doesn't always have the best intentions for motor racing and the sport itself.
mhm.
Whereas sometimes, well, like for example, like Chicago's getting a Grand Prix, right? So
Yeah,
we're gonna have 4 U.S. races, but like historic tracks like Hockenheim in Germany aren't gonna have a race, which I think is kind of ridiculous because that's a track that's been on the schedule for 100 years or
mhm.
whatever, like 70 years. Um, and now we're getting rid of it to move into these street circuits in
Yeah.
the United States.
I
So
wonder how that's gonna look like, like,
yeah,
what are the drivers happy about that? Or I'm
no,
sure they're not.
drivers do not like street circuits.
Uh,
Uh, Verstappen was very vocal about how much he hated Vegas last year, which was the first year, obviously, and that was an absolute disaster. I think.
yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I like F1, but I'm also just a huge motorsport fan. I like traditional circuits as opposed to street circuits. I like
Mhm.
actual racetracks, but
Yeah.
that's a personal preference.
Yeah. No, same with me. I feel like keeping the tradition with F1 would be, you know, the best way to go around it. And the drivers are, they're the voice of the sport, right? So whatever they're saying, I feel like the top dogs, the investors should really listen and, you know.
Yeah, well, it's like even you look at these ground effect cars in the hybrid turbo era. Um, like you look at like the earlier cars back then, right? Where
Mm,
they're loud screaming V10 engines, and now you have V6 with hybrid motor or with electric motors, right? They're hybrid cars now. These cars aren't as loud, so a lot of people also think that's like killing motor racing, right? Because now they're turning into electric hybrid cars as
mhm.
opposed to the screaming V10s they used to have.
Right, right. But as all sports are just even hockey, the game is changing constantly, right?
Yeah.
So you
Um,
know, it's
I,
it's
I will say in terms of two hockey, I was thinking about this the other day. I think Max Verstappen and Connor McDavid
yeah,
are the two greatest of both. I think there is no better player in the history of the NHL than McDavid, and I think
yeah.
there's never a better driver than Max Verstappen.
Wow. Wow, that's
That's that's a hot take here.
yeah, that's a very hot take. We got DB Media. You guys, folks, you heard it here first.
If you put McDavid right now with his skill into Wayne Gretzky's era, he's breaking every
Oh,
record.
100%, 100%.
There's just never been a better player. Obviously, it's relative to your era, but I feel like the numbers that McDavid is putting up in this era is much more impressive than the numbers that Wayne put up in his era.
Yeah, I I mean, we can speak from experience. Like the game is hard. Like it's not
Yeah,
easy to score goals, especially
yeah.
at
But I mean, he's putting up more points in the NHL than me and you were putting up in AAA hockey. So
yeah,
um,
it's
that just goes to show just how good he is. But yeah,
yeah,
just how
it's it's
um,
it's insane.
and then you look at Max Verstappen on the other end. Max Verstappen is only 26 years old, and he's broken just about every record that you
Mhm.
can. Um, he has the most dominant. He's had the most dominant seasons. So I think, and it right like it also with F1, like people say, oh, the car, but you look at what other drivers have had with other championship winning cars. No one has dominated and been flawless like he has. I mean, he has just been a machine. So I think, yeah, like I said, that's your first hot take here, but I think both are already the best at what they do in the history.
Yeah, yeah,
Really.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I might, I might throw, Bedard and Hamilton in there, but
I think Bedard, he needs to wait.
we're
He's
both
he,
Chicago guys, so like
but
Bedard,
Bedard is up next, but he's not there yet.
yeah.
Uh, I think I think in terms of Hamilton, I think Schumacher has Hamilton beat.
I mean, yeah, yeah,
I would put
yeah, he's
Schumacher
the
over
yeah,
Hamilton.
yeah,
And like, yeah, Hamilton has 7 world championships. No one can take that away from him.
yeah.
But I never really felt like he had a season where he was just dominating. Like he would always win. He lost to Nico Rosberg in the same car,
Hmm.
um, which I feel like that hurt him a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, Maybe if he won his 8th in a Ferrari, I would not complain since I'm a Ferrari fan.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I
who isn't Ferrari? Yeah,
maybe then I'd change my opinion. If he helps bring Ferrari another world championship, and if he wins his 8th, then I'll put Hamilton up there above Schumacher. But until then,
yeah,
I got Schumacher, Hamilton, and then Verstappen probably number 3 for me already.
yeah, yeah. Um, what's his name? Carlos Sainz. He's yeah,
Leclerc is better. I think they
yeah,
made the right decision. So
yeah. I mean, Ferrari's like they're just it's like the pinnacle of F1, right? If everyone wants to drive for Ferrari.
well,
It's like a
Ferrari
kid's dream, right? Isn't it?
Ferrari is, to compare it to other sports, Ferrari is like the Cowboys of F1 or
Ah,
of the NFL,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
it's like the Maple Leafs
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Almost.
yeah,
I would even maybe even say like Montreal, because Montreal has the most cups, right? Where they're
yeah.
like
They're the first original six.
yeah. But
Yeah,
like Ferrari, it was once a powerhouse. They own the record for most wins, most championships, most points, most everything, right? They're the
mhm,
most historic team. The quote goes, ask a child to draw a car and they'll color it red, right? So it's like
right.
that, and then I forgot, it was it Enzo or whatever. He's like, yeah, that's all you need to know about Ferrari. So they're the most iconic brand. They've always been second place. If you
I have
look at
noticed
the last
that.
few
Yeah,
years, they've
yeah,
just been second every year,
yeah.
and it seems
Which is
like
not
right,
bad, but
it's
it's
not bad, but it's like
yeah,
you got to start winning the championship. I mean, it's
yeah,
like every time they're expected to make the jump to one, it seems like another team figures out the regulations better than us. So,
nice.
right,
Yeah,
it's like they've been second to Mercedes all these years, and it's like, all right, well, now that Mercedes is on the downfall now, and then Red Bull takes the leap, and it's like,
yeah,
well, Ferrari was supposed to take that leap, not Red Bull, and
right. Yeah,
we're seeing that again now, where it's like Ferrari was always the second best team now compared to Red Bull. And so now with these new Ferrari upgrades, Ferrari was supposed to take that next jump, and now McLaren's the fastest car. So it's like, just seems like, and I think it'll be like that for a little bit maybe.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so
It's
we'll
wild.
see.
Uh, it's crazy how I'd honestly just say that's just they're just unlucky, just like the Maple Leafs too. They just
Yeah. Well, it's like, again, it's like the Cowboys. It's like every year, this is going to be our year. This is going to be our year.
yeah,
And it ends up not being the year. And then they'll look really good for a little bit. Right?
yeah,
They'll look unstoppable, and then
yeah.
and it's like, well, now back to reality.
Yeah, it's almost as like it's just like too much pressure. What's because like there is a point where like
Well, there's so much pressure just
there's so
work.
much.
It's a privilege, but it's so much pressure working for
It's
Ferrari, because
yeah,
you have that expectation and get back to the top, right?
right.
And short of that is failure. So
Yeah, yeah. That's well. I'm glad I'm not in those shoes, but it's what can I say? But dude, honestly, I could see you working for some like huge F1, company and racing team and being like their top media guy and just traveling
maybe
everywhere with
we'll
them. That would I could see you doing that.
maybe
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. 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 We could go back to this video and see in the future. But
Yeah,
yeah. So all right, Danny. Thank you. Thank you,
yeah,
Danny, DB Media. I appreciate your time for talking with me you know.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you for having me here. Hopefully, maybe we'll hop on another call, another podcast here soon.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, dude. I appreciate your time, and you have a good day.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah.
yeah.